Welcome to Not Silent Podcast. I am your host Arbana Xharra. Today, I am honored to welcome Gjilberta Lucaj, a professional musician whose journey to motherhood is a story of extraordinary resilience, hope, and determination. After 33 IVF treatments and years of emotional, physical, and financial challenges, Gjilberta achieved what once seemed impossible, becoming a mother. In this conversation, we'll discuss the sacrifices she made, the setbacks she endured, the strengths that kept her moving forward, and the joy of finally holding her child. Gjilberta, thank you for joining me today and deciding to share your story with us.
Thank you for having me on your podcast.
Before going back into talking about this issue, can you tell us about yourself and your career as a musician before you began your fertility journey?
Yeah, well, I am originally Albanian and I came here on a full scholarship to study the cello. I'm a concert cellist. And my music has taken me all over the world. And obviously, I came here in the US, and it's been a dream come true, although I've worked very, very, very hard. I would say more than anyone I've met, but I don't know everyone's struggles. But classical music is a very difficult field, and millions of people come here in New York, especially to study and to try to make a career. So I was really lucky, I believe, to be to become a musician and to make a living out of it. Which is not very easy.
Not easy.
No.
Tough industry.
And then I performed in all over the world, like I said, in some of the most beautiful halls. But as I grew up, there was this lack of something, lack of family, and eventually a lack of I realized that it was a lack of having become a mother. And so nothing in the world really made me happy anymore. No more claps, no more standing ovations. Nothing really mattered to me unless I had a child. So crazy. I never already I'm having a little emotion because cello was for me my baby, for since I was 4 years old. So I it fulfilled me emotionally, culturally, gave me, we come from Albania, so it was a really poor country. So it gave me, I saw the world, so I was one with my cello since 4 years.
You felt accomplished. But when did you first realize that becoming a mother might not be as straightforward as you had hoped?
Well, and this is for all the women out there who are trying to conceive. You think you're very healthy, hoping that you are not, doing a lot of drugs or things like that, So if you have somewhat of a good life, and I'm not saying to drink and drugs, whatever, but recreationally, but I'm saying that you as a woman, when you think you are healthy and happy and, you wake up every day and you go to work and you are so full of energy, so you don't think that there's something wrong with me and that I will one day not be able to have children. I don't think any of the women think like that because, you either get pregnant or you either don't, right? And so it's a life of self-discovery about your health, about your life choices, it becomes very difficult with every bite that you put in your mouth. You start questioning life, questioning yourself, and because you expect to be a mom. I think most women out there, not every woman, but most women out there comes a time when they're mid-30s that you start thinking, oh, the babies are so cute, and you start thinking that you want to become a mom, and maybe it would be so beautiful to have your own child. And that's not easy. And as I've found out, not only is not easy, but it's something that people don't talk enough about it. Now more than ever, people are talking about it, and podcasts like this or documentaries are being done. But the problem is that women still are seen with the stigma that when you can't have a child, and they don't even speak about that. And it's still seen a bit of as a shame. And as a mother, as a woman, you're always thinking I'm tough, I'm strong, I can do this. So you don't talk about it. But many first pregnancies end up in miscarriage and people don't speak about it.
We have heard, and they were doing IVFs, first time, second time, third time for a year. When I saw your post on social media and I saw the number 33 IVF, it really hit me at the moment. It just I've never heard something like that. And at that right second, I need to talk to you as a friend, as a woman, as I
Thank you.
know how tough you are. And where we come from, we have to be tough because the
Very
environment,
tough. Yeah.
how we grew up, you have to
Yeah.
survive. So, but
You do.
when
Yeah.
you start this process, is something else. It's something that it's not easy to fight.
No.
What kept you going? So tell me a little bit about the process.
Yeah, so the process, to be quite honest, it's not a nice one. It's not a clean one. It's not an easy one. It's one of the most difficult things that I've done, because you come from a war-torn country and me from a very poor and technically war-torn too, somehow. We, come in here in America without speaking English really well and trying to assimilate into a life, that is completely different from yours. I think it's one of the most difficult things you've done, especially when you come as a formed child. I came young, like in my teens, but still we are formed. We're completely adults in our countries. When you reach 14, 15, you are an adult.
You are.
Right. Yeah. So when you come here, so that's the hardest thing to do, right? So I thought, wow, I did that. I went to a great school. I studied harder than anyone. Like I said, I would close up the practice rooms in any college that I went. The janitors would throw me out, midnight. So I said, this is the hardest thing that I've ever had to do. And then I did it. I was able to do it because I never gave up. And that mentality, I think, kept me pushed me forward. Now, no one, according to 6 fertility clinics, six of the best fertility clinics here in New York, they have never heard of someone who has done 33 IVFs. So the doctors have never known, or, they don't know. They know of a woman in Israel which has done 17. She's technically their first, case that they heard. And funny thing, I happened to meet her, but completely by chance. And so what happened is that you go to you check your fertility and they tell you. And so our case, me and my husband, was considered a unexplained infertility. So you pay all this money, you pay all these, you're doing all the treatments, you're doing so many drugs. I mean, that's the amount of hormones a woman has to go through just for one, for one. It's really unbelievable, right? So you'd think by now we have something that you take 2-3 needles and then you're done, right? No, there's hundreds of needles per one of them, depending, right? So at least like 50 if you're in good condition that month. What happens is that I just couldn't give up, and they said unexplained infertility, and I had also another condition called poor ovarian reserve. So that means that some women, it's genetic. Some women can have, when they're injected with hormones, can have like up to 10, 20 follicles, it's called, right? So they're called eggs. But I don't have that many. So I have poor ovarian reserve. So instead of having 10 or 20 like other women, I would have for each treatment, with all those drugs, with all those hormones that were trying to get my body to produce more eggs, I would get 2 or 3. Therefore, I had to go more, and had to go so many to get. And every time that they would retrieve them, which is another like horror story, because you feel like you are a sheep on top of a cold table. You actually go into operating room 33 times, and they put you under, and because of the timing, and because sometimes, when you get the drug before the retrieval, there's a certain amount of time, like 7 hours, 10 hours, and they know exactly. So if they miss within 30 minutes, sometimes you ovulate, right? And so then all those drugs, all those needles you did for the past 2 weeks, all the blood tests, you have to do blood tests sometimes twice a day, once in the morning, once in the evening. You go for so many blood tests, then you do so many injections every night, certain time. You have to be so
precise on
precise and strict on your drugs, on your pills that you take over, and everything. So you go to the retrieval, and they put you like literally fast. And like, instead of like, sometimes, let's say that they were taking too long with a woman previously before you, you see people going out in stretchers like sheep, like slaughtered sheep, and then you're going in there and they're like, quick, how they don't just like, because you have like, maybe the doctors have
the window, yes.
Yeah, maybe the window is 10 minutes. So then they're putting you down. Sometimes the women who don't have enough insurance, but I will talk about it. They don't even have good insurance. So they just put laughing gas. And that's crazy, because they're going inside of your uterus and they cut in the ovaries. So it's so painful. Thankfully, I've done them under. So you go under, right? So you take propofol. But
those who doesn't have insurance, they have to go without the
Well, yeah, because insurance is like $5,000-6,000. Be put under is really expensive. So it's just a few $100s, I think, if they just give you the laughing gas or things like that. But you still feel pain. You feel a lot of pain, and when your body constricts from pain, then naturally it takes longer to recuperate after. These are so many precise science, but unfortunately it's not precise science, so then you get into that table, and they're like trying to find your veins, and at this point my veins were all these drugs and all these, like, put in them. I had I forgot the the term for it, but the arteries were like conjected, like they couldn't even find the arteries. So then they're looking and they stretch it, so they put in so much blood, like huge needles, and then the blood is shooting out. So think about having that kind of experience while you're trying to go under, trying to relax yourself, trying to pray to God or to the source above for these eggs to, to be good eggs and to be able to be fertilized, so you can have something to have a baby. And it's really one of the most hardest things in my life. And the more I did it, instead of becoming, the more you do these treatments, the more you continue, the more difficult it becomes, and the scarier you become. You become so scared. It's not like something you're going to do something that scares you for 5 times, 10 times, and then you get over your fear. It's not like that. You become more difficult. It becomes more difficult psychologically. I mean, coming out of there, it's like a nightmare. It's like a nightmare that it didn't stop for 6 years. Literally, it just didn't stop.
Years.
Yeah, 6 years. Yeah.
It's emotionally, physically, how, and I can imagine, as you said, every time, because if after the first time, second time, there was no, 33 times, how strong you have to be emotionally, because the pain, physical pain, it's going to be those moments, but that emotionally you struggle. So where was ever a moment when you thought about stopping, or no?
I thought about stopping the first time, that didn't work out, Every time it doesn't work out, you think like stopping. And then you have your, you cry out showers, you cry, you scream. One thing that I want to tell you who are going through this, you should always speak about it, if not with your husband or partner, you find a good friend, find a therapist, find somebody who can talk to you and you can have these conversations with. Because sometimes, even though your partner, your husband or whoever, boyfriend or friend or whoever, they shut down because they think it's their fault, right? And they don't know sometimes how to help, because this is not something you can help. If the doctors and the whole medical world cannot help you, like you feel that you're a failure, but you feel, sometimes men feel it even more. I don't want to say more, but they feel it so deeply, and they shut down. A lot of men don't know how to speak and to, you know what I mean? It's like the dynamic, they become difficult. And many people go through divorce, going through IVF. It's sometimes number one divorce causing situation in a couple. But it's important to talk, and it's important to know that if you really want it, don't stop.
Important is you are mentioning also support. You need emotional support. So what I'm interested to know, what did people around you not understand about infertility?
Well, so they say, oh, well, you'll have a baby, don't worry. Like, oh, no, but you will have a baby. Yeah, that while they mean well, they all mean well. They don't, instead of saying, maybe, whatever it's meant to be, like maybe find different words. Oh, you'll have a baby, don't worry about it. Everybody does IVF, right? Without asking you, wait, how you feel? How are you feeling after this time? What are you doing to make yourself feel better? Hey, do you want to come and have a coffee with me, like a friend? Let's meet and talk about it. It's better to talk about it than to say, oh, don't worry about it, you'll have a baby. No, you won't. Many people won't have babies, especially now. There's a statistic that since 2000, actually, the sperm quality has fallen 75%. So a man in their 30s, sperm quality in 2000 was 75% more motile. They were moving faster than now. Even though my husband was not, they said that he was fine. It's usually, believe it or not, it's the man's sperm. The sperm quality, or just the way that it's not, the eggs and the follicles just don't accept those sperm. And the problem is that we women are always told, yeah, no, it's your fault. You know what I mean? It's your fault.
I know there is a lack of education in this regard. Most of the time, women are blamed when they couldn't have.
And it's not right. And it's really not the women, is both, right? So because an egg, even though it's perfectly fine and they can see them under microscopes that the egg is perfectly fine, sometimes the sperm does not, although it looks perfect and it's moving under the microscope, when they do ICSI, which is they take one sperm and they put it right inside of the egg, that sperm, they don't know whether or not it will have enough energy to actually impregnate the egg. So even though it's the egg and the sperm is inside, the sperm sometimes ceases to move, right? So even though they have done the harder job, even though that sperm was the best sperm out of the millions of them that the doctors looked under the microscope and picked, right? It just sometimes it ceases to move, and they don't know yet how to make the sperm really perfect. So you have many visions of, like, ICSI and PICSI, right? So they pick the best and they put them through. There's so many things that we can talk about it. They put them, like, they take the sperm and they put them through a sticky part, and then they see if they're moving, then they take that back and they put it back. And I think sometimes that's too much because you're making the sperm work so hard already outside of the egg in a way. There's still so much to be done, but and to be as a medical society, they need to really do this. But it's one of the hardest things that women could possibly go through, and it's a failure. You feel like a complete failure. You don't believe your body. You even
feel like you don't have things under your hands because there is nothing you can do. You just rely on the. First of all, you rely, and I know that we both will feel safe in this system because it's better system than where we come from. Also, there are so many women because this costs, like, how much approximately one round of IVF costs with everything, hormones that you get, the process.
Well, in New York, it's about $45,000
for one round.
So 40 to 50 depends on your situation because, they do many different, without insurance, right? So they do many different things like hysterectomy.
Yeah.
Where they go inside and they have to clear out your uterus. It's like they put saline infusions and they have to clean, and those are extra. And they do saline infusion with, like, just to look at your overall inside, and then they do X-rays so there's just so many things that you first of all do, and so many other treatments. There are novel treatments which I don't really recommend for women to do, such as PRP, where they take your blood platelets, they put them in a centrifuge, and then they put the needles in it, and that's hard because they're literally putting this huge needle inside of your uterus and putting this blood back into your uterus, and it's really, it doesn't really work enough, for the money and for the pain. I don't really recommend it, but what I recommend women do through the insurance, I have to tell this, and I hope women really listen to me, and I want any woman not to feel shy to contact me, because I know
we'll share your information.
Yes. Yeah, to hear my information and to contact me. Doesn't matter. I don't care. Like, you don't have to follow me and anything. But if you have any questions, I really know everything about hormones and how you get yourself to get better AMH or hormones and everything. I've done it all. I mean, I've really done it all, and I've studied so much. I mean, at one point I was arguing with doctors with documents from PubMed.gov, and they were like, well, I haven't read that study yet. And then they'll go back and read the study, then come back to me and say, oh, you're correct. We'll try this new way. Oh, we'll try a little bit less drugs and maybe do one natural, which I never really did many naturals, because natural means like they just pick up your eggs and without drugs. But at my age at that time, I was mid-30s or late 30s, and they just couldn't, it didn't really work out for me, but it does work out if you are in early 30s, mid-30s, and things like that.
For 6 years, you become an expert, because it's your personal thing that you are going through, and we tend to try to find out more. As we said, it's financial pressure for a lot of other women, and the failure. Yeah.
Well, I have to mention something really quickly. So it has nothing to do really with your insurance, but if you are employed by a company that employs 100 employees or more, the New York State, and I think New Jersey too, but I don't know about other states, but find out if the company employs 100 employees, you, by the state, New York State, are allowed to have 3 free IVFs. Now, 3 free means all the drugs are, everything is covered, included, right? Yeah. Included. But when you transfer, so they take the egg, they take your husband's or your partner's sperm, and then they fertilize it. Then you wait, right? And then they take those and they put it into your uterus when uterus is perfect and when your lining is over 7 millimeters, right? So you have to have the perfect lining, first of all. That is considered one transfer, and that's considered one full round of IVF. Senator, if you really want a child, go find a job for a company, doesn't matter what it is, that has more than 100 employees, right? Because even one IVF is $45,000. And with today's inflation, you cannot afford
that. Yeah.
So people are taking loans out to have children.
Yeah.
So these children are having $200,000 without even going to college. You can have to pay college for that child, you know?
Yes.
Or school or something. So the point is, you do that. But then, you know, they catch up with you and then they say, okay, now you've done so many. But then thankfully my husband took the rest of the burden, and no matter how well you're to do, you know, it became
the fortune you have to
so much, because nobody has cash like that.
How much did everything, it's personal, if you can share with us, how much did all of this within 6 years cost you?
Well, cost me or cost in total? Because in total $1.3 million. We paid about like 600, but like half of it, like I said, it was by the insurance until my insurance ceased because I didn't work enough, you know. So
yeah, but you still paid over $500,000.
Yeah, but
for 33.
You're in New York City, in all the best clinics here in New York City, and the truth is, doctors do not take you. They didn't realize. So I just went in. So my case was, no exaggeration, about 1,500 pages, right? My medical records, 1,500 pages. And at one point, I don't remember, maybe like 17 IVF. And I have pictures, you know. I'll send you some pictures.
I would like to share this, yes, with our audience.
Yeah, at one point you're on that robe and you're waiting, you know, to get in again, like a slaughtered sheep. And you see other women pacing because we're all in this waiting room. We wait literally. It's just horrible. It's like Holocaust, waiting with a little in the cold, and then the rooms are so cold because they have to be for the eggs and stuff like that. You're freezing, and you know, and through all that, we all would give each other like, hey, it's gonna work out for you. Like, you know, women we don't even know, like we didn't even know each other, and we barely would speak.
We're struggling with the same thing.
Yeah, and we're all in. Some of them would pay, some of them wouldn't even speak, some of them would cry, some of them would like. All faiths. It was so beautiful because all faiths, you would hear them pray in so many different languages. You know, I speak a few languages like you do too. So you'd hear them speak, and some people come from all over the world to come here in New York because they think New York is the best. And it's not. Actually, I would recommend the women. It's not. But the medical way of doing this, it's the same everywhere in the world. So, but a quick thing to educate the women who are going through that. I hear that Spain and Greece actually have phenomenal IVF clinics for a fraction of the cost, like $2,000 for the whole thing, $2,000 to $3,000. So if you don't want to get a job at McDonald's and you don't have insurance, you don't want to pay $45,000 for one, go to Greece, take a nice vacation and go to Greece and stay for a month or so. Or Spain, and they are very good and very successful as well. But yeah, so you're sitting there in the cold room, and then right before they give you a chance to go to the bathroom, and I would always put my phone, and then I would do this, like 7. And if it was 17, I would do, like, for example, 1, and then, so I'd do 1 and 2 here, like, so that'd be 17, so 10 and 7, right? And then as it became more and more, I'd be like 10, 10, or like I would do like 2, like meaning like it was the 20, and then 3, 0, do 3, 0, right? So it was 30. And then 3, 3 was like, it wasn't 6, it was 33, and then I stopped, you know, and then that was my last one, and I was about to die, literally.
Can't imagine when you share, sorry to interrupt you, to share this process, and every time you went there, and not just going there, but then home, taking the hormones and every day, and also the mental pressure. Is it going to work this time? What am I doing? So what was your biggest source of strength during the most difficult moments?
It's a beautiful thing. I teach, besides performing all over the world and here in New York, I teach the cello. I teach the cello in a boys' school. So hopefully they'll see this. So I love them so much. And I'm a popular teacher. But not just popular because I'm funny and nice with them, but because they actually, quite a few of them have won competitions, like wild competitions in New York State. And so they've done really well. Teaching and being around children was a big source of inspiration. And of course, my husband and my parents, I'm the only child. So also being the only child and going out of this world without a baby for my parents or for them to become grandparents. But the biggest inspiration was I looked at it as the hardest cello piece that I have ever performed. And just like I used to sit myself for 9-10 hours a day in practice, in a practice room by myself and barely have lunch ever, right? And go until midnight practicing and trying to perfect my skill. I said, it's a numbers game. This is math. This will become, like it's just a math. One of them will have to work, right? So I looked at it as math. I looked at it as a very difficult piece of music. And when we have these super difficult passages in cello, you just work at it and work and work and work until it becomes easy. And so I figured, well, maybe that's what it is. Maybe that's what it is. It's a numbers game and it's not science. It's not a precise science. And at one point I was really tricking the doctors because they would tell me no more. You have to either purchase eggs from a different woman, right? So you purchase the eggs and you get them. And that was so difficult. The mentality of, first of all, we come from a very traditional country where women have children for some reason. My cousins have had children even when they're 43 naturally. Something has to do with our food here in America or so. But I didn't know that, first of all, before you wanted to become pregnant, a woman has to truly fix all her hormones and her eating habits and to get the purest vitamins for 6 months. But you have to be so precise. You have to be so correct and strict with yourself, with what you eat, with what you think, with your thoughts. I didn't know enough of manifestation. You need to do manifestation. You need to visualize. But every time that I went into the operating room, how could you visualize children when you're completely drugged and you're coming home and you're just sleeping the whole day off because you're just so many drugs? But do the mental work first, manifestation first. You think about it. Like try to memorize your children's faces, like make up your children's faces and food. Food is so important, but they don't tell you. Food and vitamins, the cod liver oil apparently is amazing. It's disgusting to drink it, but it apparently is phenomenal for your eggs and for your fertility and things like that. It's at one point, I'm not proud to say this, but I was tricking the doctors because they would kind of throw me out of their offices at one point. So I would only take the last 200 pages and then I'd go to a different fertility clinic and say, hey, I've done 5 IVFs, but I heard that da-da-da-da. So no one really knew. But then
How many you've done?
No, because they would never have touched me ever because they don't do more than 10. And they say, what are you doing? It's just because they don't know what will do to your body. Women gain, first of all, I was very lucky, knock on wood, but I was very lucky not to gain a lot of weight or anything like that.
From the hormones that you have to.
Yeah, it's estimated between like 15 to 20 pounds per IVF, like one round of IVF.
You know what when I was hearing and I saw this, what you're going through, and I was thinking to myself, I've met you, I've known you in the past few years, and I never heard or gave me an impression that you are going through tough time. Is it where we come from that we are so strong to manage all this, and you went into the stage and you performed and you are an artist and you could not tell that you've been going through hell, basically, mentally, physically? Not for a single moment I would think like, maybe Gjilberta was not good because of this, but you looked good. You looked perfectly okay, that you were not struggling. So this is what I'm interested to know, how and share with American audience, like the strength to move on. And we don't even go to therapists. Like when I was asked,
I didn't have a therapist.
You didn't have, imagine. So
no therapist.
How did you manage all of this?
I think looking back, I've never really thought about it, but looking back, I think having a really good hobby or having a strong foundational purpose in life. I don't care if you love knitting, I don't care if you love makeup. Like it could be as trivial as the sun or the moon or anything like that. If you have a hobby, a strong hobby, or if you find a hobby that you love, that could be so helpful to keep you a little bit more centered. And then, like I said, it's important for everybody else to talk to people. Now, me and you come from a very difficult culture, which I don't want to raise my child in that kind of culture, thinking that, oh, you can do it. But in a way, we were raised to be so strong. We saw death. But one thing that really changed my perspective, and was in 2014. I went to Afghanistan to teach and to perform, but I didn't go with the military. I went as a civilian, which was insane. All right, please don't do that. Nobody in the world does that. It's just really crazy.
But we Albanians will do that. We are not afraid. Something is wrong with us.
It is crazy. We go to war. We left the war. We go to war. What's wrong? Crazy. It's crazy, but it's fun.
We risk to all. Yeah.
It's what keeps us, what keeps us strong in a way, And I went there, and what I saw is something that changed my whole perspective. I was going through like a little bit of a depression at that time. I wasn't dating. I didn't have somebody truly good in my life. I had finished a relationship, for a long relationship. I barely dated anybody because it was just so difficult with music and with everything, to actually put in time to even date someone. But I went through I said, oh, but what is my purpose? Because I've been doing the cello since 4 years old. Like I've performed, I've traveled the world, I've seen it all. What is this purpose? This cello has taken everything. And the truth is, all real musicians, all professional musicians have a love-hate relationship with their music, because this kind of time that takes so much time from us. It has taken us from all other hobbies that we would have had, right? I always wanted to become a lawyer. I had a dream for years and years and years to become an archaeologist, right? And I couldn't do it because it was always cello, always a concert, always practicing. But my point going back there is, if you have a hobby, and if you dedicate yourself to a hobby or to something that truly keeps you, and then go somewhere and visit a war-torn country if you can, without being, in danger of yourself. Yeah, or just go to...
You're gonna compare. It's very important to compare
your life, to compare, no matter how bad you have it here, oh my God, is nowhere when you see these children. But I saw a dead infant and the mother screaming on the street. The infant had turned black and blue. I mean, that's what I saw. I saw hunger. I saw children. There's a portrait of a woman it's like a dark woman with the green eyes, and she's, I think, from Afghan. It won Time, New York Times, the best picture of the year.
The photographer that compared her.
I took that woman. Yes, yeah. Right? She has many children. What I saw this, first of all, you go through, you're completely covered, but you go through the streets very rarely because bombs are everywhere and you're shaking. It's the worst thing ever that you could experience, and you say to yourself, what the heck did I do to come here? But then these children that would come and they would risk their lives to learn music, because music is not even allowed in Afghanistan.
Yeah.
Right? But these children would risk their life saying to their families and friends, only their parents knew, not even their siblings, that they were going to learn the Quran. Meanwhile, they were coming in and learning how to play the cello. And so these girls were looking at my videos, and I was their idol. So my friend who was working there said to me, look, these girls are risking their lives, and I show them your videos. Come for 2 weeks. And I went. But then when you see these kids, when you see the hunger, you see those eyes, that picture, I don't know how else to explain, but people should go and look at that woman's eyes. I've never seen that kind of look in a child's eyes. These eyes showed suffering, anger, love, hope, hate. Every single emotion within one look. I had never seen eyes like that looking at me, desperation, questioning me, all just with their eyes. and I had never, like, well, we're going in this little car. We were 6 people in this little car trying to go and get some food, and the kids would come and hit the car, and then you'd see these eyes, and these eyes of this boy, I will never, ever, ever forget. And that made me believe. I said, oh my God.
It changed the perspective, how you see the life and the world and everything.
Right. And it showed me, I said, oh my God, you live in America, you live in New York State, you live here, I came in and I said to myself, I will never in my life complain again. I will just never complain again. I will look for the best in everything and everybody in every situation. And although it's so hard, and going through this, I have to say something about women because I know they're going through this. No matter how strong you are, it did break me. I didn't show it, but I was broken down. And I'm a positive person, right? I'm always super positive. But it became a time when I started looking at myself and looking at women pushing their prams, right? Their carriages, their baby carriages. And you are judging them and you are comparing yourself with these random women in the street. And you're like, well, why does that person have a baby and I don't? She's not taller than me. She's not prettier than me. She doesn't seem healthier than me. She's so heavy. Why is she having a child and I don't have a child? And that's when you realize that you're losing yourself and you really need to step back and say, this is my story. This is my life. This is my journey, right? Everybody has their own journey and you need to tell yourself that it will come. If you truly want something, it will always come in another way or form, right? If you want a child, maybe you'll go and adopt. I was going to adopt if it didn't work. And the 33rd time I went home and I said, this was it. Because you wait. Also, the worst thing is you wait 2 days. Well, technically 24 hours to see whether or not they have made it. And then you wait 3 days. And those are the hardest days of your life every single time. So 33 times and those 3 days to see whether or not they have made it. Yeah.
Why no therapist? I would like, yeah. You said no therapist. I didn't go to therapist despite everything I've been through. But are we wrong or are we right? We need support. We need this, what you were explaining. Yeah. We need mental support. Why you didn't have therapist during this very difficult time for you?
The truth is because I was really super busy, and I think I should have done a therapy. I should have definitely. I cannot recommend it enough to see a therapist. I really can't, and please go. But I was keeping myself so busy, and so think about this. So you wake up in the morning, you wake up around 5:30 because by 6:15 you have to be in the doctor's office to take your blood almost every single day out of your life. Besides the time when you have those transfers, right? Because they are looking at so many hormones and it's so different every single day. So once they see that the hormones are kind of good, then they give you the big drugs, right? So even though you're taking oral estrogen, progesterone, you name it, right? Estradiol, everything. So and then you go in the afternoon sometimes. Because if it's too close to a retrieval, you have to go morning and the afternoon. And as a matter of fact, there is a thing at the Columbia Fertility Center here in New York City. I highly recommend women to go there. 1, because they have the best lab actually in the country. And then 2, because they now have, I actually did a commercial for that. They now have a painless, needleless blood collection thing. So you do this and then it's like it's like a tape. You tape it and then you push it in and it has a little like needle. It almost like scratches you, but you don't feel it. And it's a suction that sucks your blood out. So it's not for these, right? It's not going to work for every single time, but it would work for a little bit, like for those like 3 hormones, E2, the estradiol, progesterone, and the things. So instead of having all your veins shattered literally by all those needles, you can just do it here and here, and it just leaves like a little circle, and it just draws the blood. You really don't feel it, and yeah,
it's so important they are giving all this information. But going back to therapy, I think it's also from the mentality where we come from.
Yes.
As you mentioned, as long as you are alive, right? You are not insane, because you're going to be considered insane going to a therapist. You just don't consider therapy. But also we have support. We have family support. So you're going to have someone to talk to you. You're going to always find people to have coffee, to keep yourself busy.
We have a very strong family support, Albanians,
That's
right?
very,
You
very,
and friends, and I spoke to, we do. But it's important that even you have that. Going back, I would have done it, even though it was super difficult, super busy, because also trying to keep, you've seen me perform throughout these years. So even though I was performing and I had a really busy schedule with everything, right? I should have made time, because it really broke me. It broke me down, you know what I mean? And you feel selfless, worthless, and you don't have to feel that you are nobody. You don't have to feel like you are failing. You're not failing. It's God's will or the source's will, and it's something that you just, either you do it or you don't. But you should stop. When you feel broken, stop. Go to the therapist, speak to someone, seek alternatives. Right now, they're having all these different alternatives, like you go to, what is it called, like health doctors, more based on health-wise and not like just MDs, right? So you'll go to see different clinics. You also talk to other women, find other women. A great place is also online, Facebook. They talk through a lot. There's millions of women on Facebook going through IVF. Join those groups. And then when it becomes too much, because a lot of them share a lot of sad stories, please don't. Then take yourself out. Save yourself. Know how to regulate. And please seek help, seek mental health, because it would have been so much easier. But again, I had a very busy life and I had a strong family support.
It helps a lot.
It helps a lot. Yeah.
After so many attempts at 33, what was the moment like when you learned you were finally pregnant?
Well, the truth was, I was pregnant twice before that, and it just didn't take. So the very first time they called me, and I remember the words, "We want to cautiously tell you this, but you are pregnant. But take it with a grain of salt," literally, because your numbers are not really that great. But as of right now, you are pregnant. I just literally, I collapsed. I was in the bathroom brushing my teeth or something. I literally fell. I've never fainted or anything like that. I literally just fell on the floor. Thank goodness I didn't hit my face. But I remember being in the bathroom and I just collapsed. I literally collapsed and I was crying. And but then it became, I went back in 2 weeks and it didn't take, and so was it was another big failure, because then you say, no, it's really my fault, my body's fault. And it's not really your body's fault. It's just that actually the embryo wasn't of good quality. Even though they look great, and a woman needs to understand this, even though they look great under a microscope, and even though the doctor said, oh, it is the best one I've seen, and it has enough cells and it's going to work, it wasn't good. There was something wrong with it. Otherwise, usually, and the body is actually the best detector of good pregnancies or not good pregnancies. So the body is the one who chooses the right egg, and it knows whether or not that will become a viable pregnancy or not. And often 99% of the time the body is the real decider. And then it went again and again, and then finally I said, I'm done. At the 33, I said, I'm done. And I just, you walk with somebody, because you can't walk by yourself after the retrievals. And that day, the last one was the one that I just, my husband wasn't here, and he said, please, can you just stop your IVF? Because I was one time, because he would always come and pick me up, and because you need someone to pick you up.
Yeah.
And I said, no, I'm going to go through it. I'm going to do it. I'm going to walk home,
The last round, right?
The last round. I said, no, I'm going to sit. I said, I would walk back home, not from far, but if it was more than 20 blocks, then I would take a cab. But usually all around here, Midtown, there are 6 of them, and I would walk home. And I said, no, it's fine. I met a really wonderful woman. She was an anesthesiologist, and she's actually Serbian. And, and we became such close friends. She was older. She didn't have children. And she made me feel so good that day. And she was so funny, and things even though we don't expect that because of Albania and Serbia, but we became such good friends. We kept in touch, actually, even until recently. And so I said to her, thank you so much for making me feel so good, because this is actually my last time. She just made me feel so great, and she was so calm. And she put me, and then she said to the doctors, to the nurses, stop, don't treat her like that. Let her go under, then give her dignity, because they start taking your clothes off, you know what I mean? And pushing her as you're going under. She's like, stop. Give her dignity. And I was like, please, thank you. Every time, because they put you because because at one point you're just a number, and you can't blame the doctors and the nurses because they have that 15 minutes, 20 minutes. It needs 10 minutes to put you down, or 15 minutes to put you down, to go in, to like clean you, to go in, to get, you know what I mean? It's a 30-minute, 40-minute thing, but they're all on a schedule. And she's like, stop. I will never forget. Give her dignity. And I was like, thank God, my last time. Feeling like you feel like you are a human being. And I always was funny. I always made them laugh. Instead of making me laugh like everybody, I'd make them laugh. So everybody truly, really loved me and was funny. And they would make fun. And they're like, Gjilberta, what are you going to dream about now? It was nice, but still the way they start preparing you before you even go, it's really upsetting. So I want to tell women to tell them, do not touch me until I'm under. If you have the chance to go under, and just do not touch me, because you feel like take your legs off, and it's just so horrible. But yeah, so then I just said to her, thank you. I walked home, the last one, and I said this was it. I actually started looking at in Albania for children's homes, and I was going to start adopting or look into adoption. And I've always wanted to adopt a baby anyhow, since I was little. So I said, maybe that was my chance, and this is really the God telling me. And I wrestled with God, but then God said, okay, finally, that's it. And sometimes when you give up, and then the last moment is when the things work out, and it worked out, that one.
What was it like holding your baby for the first time?
Oh my God, it was so surreal. It was so surreal, I couldn't wait because, I did a C-section, and they're like, you feel like people are jumping, tap dancing. So as I'm like this, I'm telling them, what are you guys doing? Because I'm always cracking jokes. I'm like, are you guys tap dancing on my belly now? What's happening here? You're out of rhythm. I was telling the doctor. And they're like, oh, well, and I was like, oh, is the baby out? Because you kind of like, they feel this big pull, but you feel like a lot of, like, literally somebody's like stepping on you, but you don't feel pain, obviously. Yeah. But you're alert, which is a miracle, right? I mean, it's a miracle to be alert while they're cutting you and taking all your organs out and then taking your baby. And I was like, is the baby out? Why isn't he crying? And they're like, well, and I had a really funny registered nurse. She's like, well, I don't know. Talk to him. And I was like, baby? And he's like, and he cried. Because she was really funny too. I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, well, I don't know. Talk to him. Is that crying? And I was like, baby? And then he just cried. And then I saw him, and he was like, he came out with big opened eyes. I was like, and we Albanians are really funny. I'm like, who is this alien? Those are my first words. Is this my little alien? Who is this alien? This is my baby alien. And then they took him, and it was so amazing. And they put him on me, and I just, even to this day, I tell my husband, can you believe this is our baby? And to honest to God, it's a really strange feeling. I'm so in love. I'm so in awe. I still don't believe it. And he's 16 months old, and I still think, I look at him, and he's like, Mama. And I'm looking at him like, yes. He calls me 100 times, Mama. I'm like, yes, 100 times. He calls me 100 times. I respond. And I still look at him sometimes, and he's like, hey, and he smiles. And I don't know. God is great, and I'm thankful, because I still sometimes don't believe it, and I go around and I tell my friends and my family, can you believe he's my baby? I've gone through so much trauma that even now I think, like, sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night and I look at him because I'm like, is this thing real? Because I've been so traumatized. I mean, I can't even describe how traumatized I've been. I swear to God, I'm not even saying this, but often I go and kiss him and kiss him and kiss him and kiss him so much. He's like probably so annoying to him, that I feel like, oh my God, something is gonna, like, I'm gonna wake up, from the dream of having a baby.
After 33 IVF attempts, what does motherhood mean to you today?
It means that I was so thankful not to give up. It means that I'm going to teach him to never give up no matter what. If you truly want something, there's no giving up. No matter which way you get it, however, if you truly want something, you can never, never, ever give up. I think that if you push, things will happen. And you need a resilience, and you need to tell yourself, this is it, and I'm going to go for it. And nothing in this world, not God, not the science, not people, nothing in this world. And that's what I said. I said, I don't care. I said, if I make a deal with the devil or with God, I said, but I'm going to keep with God until I will make the deal with the devil to have my child. And thankfully, he said, okay, this woman is crazy, he or she, and gave me a baby. But I think that you just can't give up. It's my biggest thing. And I do want to say something to the women, and I hope we are able to preface somehow. It's super important to save your eggs. It's the biggest investment. It's only $15,000. And I only say only 15 because a coffee in New York City and in New York costs you $8, a small coffee, right? So think about it. Stay without coffee for 2 years and you're almost there, right? And it's important for all women nowadays because of the environment that we have, that somehow we're not eating as well as we used to eat when we.
There are a lot of factors that are affecting.
Yeah, so many factors, so many PFAs, PFOAs, forever chemicals. Our makeup, everything that we put into our body is horrific, right? In the air we breathe. So everything, we are very sensitive humans, and we're very sensitive, even though we think like, oh, we're so strong and we survived this and we survived that. No, we are very actually sensitive to everything, to all external factors. And it's really important for women to save their eggs. I want to tell them that by the time you hit 35, and no one tells you, and gynecologists really should tell you, but sometimes I feel like they're working against us. At 35, they should tell you. And they should tell you, the minute you first start going to a gynecologist, they should tell you, at 35, you are considered advanced maternal age. That means you're old, okay? Because that's how the body is, apparently at 35, and that's how we were meant to be. Now, I'm not telling women to go have children before 35. I'm telling them, save your eggs. Go invest in yourself. Don't buy that Gucci bag. You don't need it. Nobody gives a damn about your stupid Gucci bag. Go and put your money and save your eggs no later than before 30. Just do it. It's the best investment, I could always say. My friends told me, but I never believed, and I would say always, oh, I'm so healthy, I'm so clean, I don't do drugs, I don't drink a lot, I don't do any kind of things, that I'm not on any medication. I have no problem. And that's not it. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with your overall health. It's something genetic or not. Right? So please go save your egg. I tell everybody. And anyone who wants to talk to me, I will give
Share
free. And I have so much information that I cannot tell you here about hormones and things like that, and how you can actually fight the doctors even if you have a low MAH, which means that you don't have enough eggs. That's really, no, it's just so many things that we can talk about it, and it's just, please contact me. I have no problem of
We'll definitely share your information. Gjilberta, I admire you for your strengths, your personality. Thank you for sharing your story. It's not easy, but I'm convinced that you help a lot of women, and you're going to help a lot of women that are going through this tough process. I'm going to share your information so they can directly contact you for everything they need to ask. Thank you so much, and I wish you all the best to you and your baby.
Thank you so much, Arbana. I am such a big fan of yours, and you are a big inspiration to me too. And you are one of the strongest women that I know. And I am so thankful for your podcast and for speaking and really, truly bringing to light a lot of problems that we are facing as humanity. So thank you for having me here.
Thank you.